If you've been to the grocery store lately, you've probably noticed the same thing everyone else has. Prices are higher. A quick trip for just a few basics, milk, eggs, bread, maybe some fruit, ends up costing way more than you expected. And it's not just your imagination. Inflation has been pushing up the cost of food consistently, and even though some reports say it's cooling off, shoppers are still feeling the squeeze every single week at checkout. For families, it can feel like a constant balancing act. Do you cut back on healthier options because they're too expensive? Do you stick to the same brands and absorb the extra cost? Or do you get creative and try to stretch every dollar as far as it will go? The truth is, groceries are one of the few expenses that no one can really avoid. You can cancel streaming services, you can postpone buying clothes, but you can't just stop eating. That's why inflation in food prices hits so hard. It touches every household, regardless of income level. Now, the good news is that there are ways to fight back against inflation at the grocery store without cutting your lifestyle to the bone. It doesn't mean you have to switch to instant noodles for every meal or give up your favorite treats entirely. Instead, it's about making smart, intentional moves that add up over time. Today, we're going to focus on 3 simple but powerful ways you can inflation-proof your grocery bill in 2025. These strategies are practical, actionable, and can make a real difference, whether you're feeding just yourself or a family of 5. The first way to get ahead of rising grocery costs is to think in terms of bulk buying and long-term storage. A lot of people hear the word bulk and immediately picture a warehouse club where you need a membership card and walk out with 50 rolls of paper towels. But bulk buying doesn't have to be overwhelming, and it doesn't have to mean stocking your garage with food you'll never finish. What it really means is buying smart on the items you know you'll consistently use and making sure they last. Take rice or pasta, for example. These are staples in so many households, and prices on dry goods like these don't fluctuate as wildly as fresh produce. If you buy small boxes every week, you're paying more per unit, but if you buy a larger bag or stock up when there's a discount, you're locking in savings. The same goes for things like canned beans, oats, flour, or even frozen vegetables. Inflation tends to hit hardest when you're buying the same small portions repeatedly because the cost gets passed on more frequently. By buying in bulk, you're smoothing out those price spikes. Now, the key here is storage. You don't want food waste because waste cancels out any savings. So, investing in a few airtight containers, freezer bags, or even a small chest freezer, if you have the space, can go a long way. Think of it as building your own little insurance policy against inflation. You're basically telling the store, I'll buy at today's price, and I won't need to come back when you raise it next week. Over months, those savings compound. It doesn't sound like much when you save a few dollars here and there, but when you add it up across dozens of grocery trips, it's real money staying in your pocket. The second way to beat inflation at the grocery store is to embrace technology. Now, I know that sounds vague, but let's break it down. The days of clipping paper coupons out of the Sunday newspaper might be mostly gone, but the digital versions are better, easier, and more personalized than ever. Almost every major grocery chain now has an app that offers discounts, loyalty rewards, or cashback on purchases. And here's the catch. A lot of these savings aren't available if you're just walking into the store without the app. For example, you might see pasta sauce listed for $5 on the shelf, but with the store's app, it drops to $3. Or maybe you get loyalty points for buying it, which you can use towards next week's groceries. If you ignore the app, you're basically leaving free money on the table. And it's not just about store-specific apps. There are cashback platforms and rebate apps that scan your receipts and give you money back for everyday purchases. Some people underestimate how much this can add up. But think about it. If you're spending $500 a month on groceries and you're able to consistently earn 5 to 10% back through apps, that's $25 to $50 a month. Over the course of a year, that's hundreds of dollars saved just by taking advantage of technology that's already in your pocket. Another piece of technology worth using is price comparison tools. With inflation, prices can vary wildly from store to store, even for the exact same item. A gallon of milk might be $1 cheaper at a store that's just a 5-minute drive away. Many grocery apps now let you see weekly flyers or deals without stepping into the store. Taking just a few minutes before your shopping trip to compare can save you real money. And if you're willing to order online for pickup, you can sometimes avoid the temptation of impulse buys that sneak into your cart when you're physically walking through the aisles. The third way to inflation-proof your grocery bill is all about substitutions and flexibility. This might be the most powerful strategy because it gives you control even when prices spike. The reality is that inflation doesn't hit every product equally. Maybe beef is up 20% this month, but chicken is only up 5%. Or maybe fresh blueberries are suddenly priced like luxury goods, but frozen blueberries are much more affordable. By being flexible and open to swapping, you avoid paying a premium just because you're stuck on one version of a product. Here's an example. Let's say you normally buy a specific brand of cereal for $6 a box. Suddenly that brand jumps to $7.50. Right next to it, there's a store brand version with nearly the same ingredients for $4. If you're loyal to the brand, you absorb the higher price. But if you're flexible, you save almost 50% in one simple swap. Over the course of a year, those choices add up to hundreds of dollars saved without really changing your lifestyle. You're still eating cereal. You've just stopped paying extra for the logo on the box. The same idea works with produce. If fresh peppers are unusually expensive this week, try frozen peppers in your recipes. If apples are through the roof, consider pears or bananas. When you're flexible, you put yourself in the driver's seat instead of being at the mercy of whatever. Food inflation is hitting hardest. And if you combine that with meal planning, you unlock even more saving. Planning your meals around what's on sale or what's in season means you're spending strategically instead of randomly. Now, I want to be clear. These strategies aren't about sacrificing the joy of food or turning your diet into a bland, repetitive routine. In fact, they can open up new opportunities. Trying substitutions might introduce you to foods you wouldn't normally try. Using apps might expose you to discounts on products you never realized were within your budget. Bulk buying might encourage you to cook more at home and experiment with recipes, which is not only cheaper, but often healthier than eating out. The bigger picture here is that inflation doesn't have to completely control your grocery bill. Prices will rise, and they may not always come back down. But by being proactive, by buying in bulk when it makes sense, by leveraging technology for discounts and cashback, and by staying flexible with substitutions, you're building resilience into your everyday life. It's about protecting your wallet while still living well. Think about it like this. Every dollar you save at the grocery store is a dollar you can put somewhere else. Maybe that's toward paying down debt. Maybe it's for an emergency fund. Or maybe it's just to give yourself a little more breathing room in your budget. Inflation can feel like this unstoppable force. But when you apply strategies like these, you're not powerless. You're taking back control. And here's one last thought. Grocery shopping is something we all do, week after week, month after month. That means every decision compounds. Small savings don't just add up, they multiply over time. If you save $20 a week through these methods, that's over $1,000 in a year. That's a vacation fund. That's money for holiday gifts. That's money that doesn't vanish into rising prices, but stays with you, where it belongs. So the next time you're standing in the aisle, looking at rising prices, remember you have tools. Buy smart in bulk when it makes sense. Use the apps and loyalty programs that are available to you. Stay flexible with your choices, and don't let brand loyalty or habit dictate how much you pay. These are small adjustments, but together, they can shield you from the worst effects of inflation. And the best part? You don't have to wait. You can start applying these strategies on your very next grocery trip. Inflation is here, yes, but so are solutions. And by making these moves today, you're setting yourself up not just to survive inflation, but to thrive despite it.